Have you ever wondered how two people can have the exact same injury but feel completely different levels of pain? It's a total puzzle, right? Well, it points to a really powerful truth. Pain isn't just a physical thing. So let's dive into this incredible connection between what we think and what we feel.
And I mean, this isn't just some theory. Check this out. During World War II, a medic on the Anzio beachhead saw something that just blew his mind. Soldiers with really serious wounds, we're talking life-changing injuries, often said they felt little to no pain. Now, how is that possible? Well, for them, that injury meant one thing. They were going home. Their brain's interpretation of the situation completely changed their physical reality. Incredible.
And that story perfectly busts one of the biggest myths about pain. You know, we're all kind of taught to believe that hurt equals harm. The more it hurts, the worse the damage must be. But the reality? It's so much more complicated. Think of pain less like a damage meter and more like a really sophisticated alarm system. And you know who's in charge of the volume dial? The brain. Okay, so if the brain is controlling the volume, how exactly does it do that? This brings us to our first big idea, the brain's pain dial. And honestly, getting a handle on this is the first real step to feeling more in control. It's not a one-way street, you see. An injury might send a message up to your brain, but that's just raw data. Your brain is the master interpreter. It gets that signal and then it looks at everything else going on. Your mood, how stressed you are, your past experiences, the situation you're in, and then, and only then, does it decide how much pain you're actually going to feel. It gets the final say every single time.
That scientists have a really cool way of explaining this. It's called the gate control theory. Just imagine there's a gate in your spinal cord. This gate can swing wide open, letting tons of pain signals flood through to the brain. Or it can swing shut, blocking a lot of them off. And the really crucial part? It's not just physical things that control this gate.
Our thoughts and our emotions have a massive say in the matter. Things like stress, anxiety, or just focusing really hard on the pain, all of that can literally pry that gate wide open, making everything feel worse. But, and this is the good news, on the flip side, things like relaxation, feeling happy, or even just getting distracted by something you enjoy can help swing that gate closed, turning the volume way down. So we know our thoughts can open or close that pain gate. Let's really dig into that because it's a game changer. In this next part, we're going to look at exactly how certain mental habits can pour gasoline on the fire and get us stuck in a painful cycle.
Okay, don't let this diagram scare you. It looks a little complicated, but the idea behind it is actually super simple. Think of this as a map of what happens in your mind in just a fraction of a second, the moment you feel a flare-up. The key isn't the sensation itself. It's all about how you appraise it or judge it. So, the whole process kicks off with what's called primary appraisal. This is your gut reaction. The second you feel that twinge, your brain makes an instant, totally unconscious call. Is this a threat? Is this dangerous? Is something really wrong here?
And right on the heels of that, like a millisecond later, comes the secondary appraisal. This is where your brain asks, okay, can I handle this? Do I have what it takes to get through this? It's all about how able you feel to cope with the situation.
And here is the absolute key. Both of these appraisals happen almost instantly, and they can kick off a seriously vicious cycle. I mean, think about it. If your first thought is, this is a major threat, and your very next thought is, and I can't handle it, well, you've just created the perfect storm for more stress, more fear, and yep, you guessed it, more pain. This whole negative pattern actually has a name. It's called pain catastrophizing. And it's not just thinking negatively. It's really specific. It has 3 parts. First, there's magnification, making it out to be way worse than it is. Then there's rumination, where you just can't stop thinking about it, it's on a loop. And finally, helplessness, that sinking feeling that there's absolutely nothing you can do. Does this sound at all familiar? This is basically the inner monologue of catastrophizing. And what's wild is that researchers have found this exact thought pattern is one of the single best predictors of how much pain and disabilities someone will experience, even more predictive than what an MRI scan shows. It's that powerful.
But listen, if our thoughts can create this nasty feedback loop, that means they can also break it. And this brings us to the most empowering part of this whole discussion, how we can actually actively retrain our response to pain.
Now, before we go any further, I want to make something crystal clear. This is so important. Just because we're talking about thoughts does not mean the pain is all in your head or that it isn't real. The pain is 100% real. What we're talking about is changing how the brain processes that very real signal.
So the goal here isn't some magic trick to make a physical sensation just vanish. It's about changing your relationship with it. It's about breaking that automatic link in your brain between hurt and harm. It's about uncoupling the raw sensation of pain from the emotional experience of suffering.
And you can actually break this down into 3 simple, doable steps. First, you just learn to notice that automatic, catastrophic thought when it pops into your head. That's it. Just see it. Second, you start to gently challenge it. Like, is it 100% true that this will never get better? Really? And third, you consciously choose a more balanced, more realistic thought to put in its place.
And the science behind this is, well, it's staggering. In one study on people with back injuries, get this, researchers found that psychological factors, things like fear and catastrophizing, could predict how well they'd recover with 85% accuracy. The actual physical stuff they found on scans turned out to be pretty poor predictors.
And here's why this works. It's a concept called neuroplasticity. When you consistently practice these new ways of thinking, you are literally rewiring your brain. You're making the pathways that turn pain down stronger, and you're weakening the ones that crank it up. It's like building a new muscle.
So, we'll end with this question to think about. That raw sensation of pain, maybe we can't always control it. But our interpretation of it, our appraisal of it, and our response to it, that we can. And shifting our focus from the thing we can't control to the thing we can, well, that's where the real power is.